here's what you are expected to contribute. That's what evangelizing was, letting people know, hey, this is the new program and these are the benefits.
Well, words evolve over time, and we shouldn't necessarily...
Well, I'm just using that as an example. That's how all nations... Oh,
take a walk real quick.
Okay, all right. Sorry, it means that there's something...
Go for it.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it.
It's nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you, sir. All right.
Very nice.
Okay. So last month, I traveled to Oklahoma University for the latest installments of Change My Mind, where I tackled 2 new topics, deporting all illegals and canceling SNAP. You can find those videos in the description. But today, I have a bonus piece of content. And I say bonus because it was cut short due to some behind-the-scenes security issues we had to deal with, and after which I had to be escorted. But it also showcases a very interesting conversation with, I will say, a kind and thoughtful student about what it means to actually be an American. Because that's something we gloss past when we're talking about immigration and a lot of policies. What is it that makes one American? And can someone be more American or less? Leave your thoughts in the comments below and enjoy this bonus installment of Change My Mind, where, spoiler, I live at the end. What's your name, by the way?
I'm Gabriel.
Gabriel, nice to meet you. Gabriel, Steve. Sorry.
No, you're so...
I got dry mouth talking all day, so after this...
No, I get it. Y'all been having a good time?
Yeah, it's been nice. Yeah.
You like OU?
It's funny, my only experience with OU was in jiu-jitsu, and a guy who was all-American, and I think he was actually national champion, NCAA champion, suplexed me and concussed me. There are levels to this.
Yeah, I wrestled.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, for like 10 years.
I mean, I know Oklahoma State is the school, but this guy was awesome. So I was like, I hate OU. But yeah, no, it's my brother has lived in Oklahoma, so.
Oh, that's cool.
How long have you been going here?
This is my 3rd year. So
Okay.
I've lived in Norman my entire life.
Okay, what are you studying?
Industrial engineering.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah,
okay.
it's fun.
Well, it's all probably relevant to the H-1B conversation because
I mean,
it's going to be a little competitive for you.
I want to go to grad school
Okay.
because I just really enjoy research and all that stuff, and so yeah, that's a big conversation.
I can
We get
imagine.
a lot of foreign nationals coming here.
Yeah. Are we good?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Yeah, we've talked about that quite a bit. We can touch on that too if you want to. Just kind of it's I've got to imagine. How old are you?
I'm 19.
19. Yeah, got to be daunting. Kind of looking at when people talk about boomers not really fully appreciating it, and I go, sure, people can make better financial decisions, and I think that a lot of young people don't, but they don't really take into account the competitive nature of the job marketplace. It's quite a bit different from what
Especially
it used to
right now. I mean, I have a lot of friends. Just last night, I was with a couple seniors that are graduating this semester and just discussing the job market in general.
Yeah.
It's difficult right now.
be. I can only imagine. Well, I didn't run into that because I was an idiot who they said the world needs grave diggers too, and then I did stand-up comedy and went about it the other way. I did 2 semesters of college, but well, you wrestled, so did they call you like the Griffin? Like, here comes the Griffin!
No, they didn't do all that. I mean, you know how it is with wrestling. It's a little less showmanship-like than most of the stuff you see on TV.
Yeah, they don't like the showboating. Often, I know in wrestling, you get the nickname you don't want. So, yeah.
For whatever reason, my entire high school team called me Gabby, like as in Gabrielle.
Yeah, and if you show that you don't like it, that's what you get.
That's what I got for 2 years.
Like we have a guy here, I don't know, he's former special forces, but he loves filet, so I call him Tenderloin, and he hates it.
But that's just what it is.
I'm like, dude, it's an ironically scary nickname because people go like, Tenderloin is too soft. He must be crazy. But all right, well, Gabriel, I don't know how familiar you are at all with kind of the series, if at all.
Yeah.
Okay. So I just always try and clarify with people what it's not, because this was started 10 years ago, close to it, before the kind of debate bro culture and before YouTube Shorts was a thing. Yeah. It's not designed to be gotcha, score points, dunk. We really do try and have discussions in good faith, even on controversial topics, hopefully proving that we can have them even if we disagree. And that being said, today obviously is a hot button issue. We've been talking about it quite a bit. I believe that in the year 2025, certainly where we find ourselves at this impasse with our immigration issues, deport all illegal aliens. And if you disagree with that, you're more than welcome to change my mind.
Okay. To be clear, is that black and white and sort of, like, is that your entire point of view, or is it more nuanced? Do you have more?
Well, obviously it's more nuanced. I can't fit it on a sign, but
I figured.
That's the starting point.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the starting point. I think we've tried it the other way forever, going back to, well before it, but Reagan granting amnesty to 3 million. The number's increased by 450% since then. We've been lenient. The cost is astronomical. Crime in many of the sanctuary cities is out of control. And I also think, look, a big difference now, considering the sheer influx in the last decade. I think Americans have the right to want to preserve a culture here where they're footing the bill as taxpayers to feel like strangers in their own town, where they don't have common language, common culture, common values. So all of that, I think the starting off point is we're going to be hardline on it.
Okay. Well, thanks for sharing that with me. I guess immediately, what do you see as the immediate cost of immigration? You bring up how it can cost the American taxpayer. What's your opinion on that?
So, well, here, and also so you don't take my word for it. You can take that to check any references.
Oh, I appreciate that.
Because I know, especially at school, people
we talk about grad school, references to everything.
Yes, and we do that every day on the show, by the way, because it really bothers me when people just make claims like, well, where'd you get that? My brother. So it costs, the estimate is $150 billion to $450 billion a year, taxpayers. People say, well, I'm not saying that no illegal aliens pay taxes. That's not what I'm saying. The offset is about 17%. It offsets, so including the number of people who pay taxes, all of it, the total number is $150 to $450 billion. That's significant. The cost of deporting illegal aliens, if we were to take the high number in the last 4 years, the number is probably closer to 15 million. Let's call it 12 million. But if we were to deport 20 million illegal aliens, right now, it costs $17,000 per illegal alien. These are estimates. It would cost you about billion. If I said million, I meant billion in all these instances. Okay. $300-something billion, $340 billion, $360 billion to deport them. You'd end up effectively saving money within the year, call it a year and a half.
So that's including making ICE the largest federally funded law enforcement organization?
You can put that in your pocket, but you can keep it. Yeah, we have plenty. Yeah. Yes. That's including all of it. Yep.
Okay.
That's including the cost of self-deportations as well, versus having to chase people down and deport them, all of it.
Okay. So, with the fact that, I'm not entirely educated on the exact statistics, though we all understand that statistics, like anything, you can use to lie.
Sure.
Not that you're doing that, just that
I
we should
agree.
be cognizant of the type of statistics that we're quoting and all those sorts of things.
Yes.
But the IRS allows you to pay taxes without a SSN, a social security number. And for example, they want you to. They'll track you down even if you're, not, you know what I mean?
Well, they'll track you down. They'll go up your hiney with a sigmoidoscope.
So,
in my case, they use an IMAX wide-angle lens.
So oh, that's right. You're from Canada?
No? I'm born in Detroit, but spent a lot of time in Canada.
Okay, so I'm just vaguely remembering things.
I'm ashamed of it. It's a horrible place.
I don't know much about it. I've never been, honestly.
You're better off.
Okay. Well,
but yes, so the IRS, you're saying they can track you whether you have a social security number or not.
Okay, so you're of the opinion, with statistics back it up, that there are just millions of illegal aliens not paying taxes?
Yes.
Okay. I suppose, could you inform me as to why?
Well, the numbers bear it out. And here's the other problem. It actually isn't fully true.
Of how those things were.
So again, this is, and the reason this really sticks in my mind is because when I did a change of mind on building the wall a long time ago, the number was about 116 billion per year. The lowest estimate you'll find is 150 billion. People say sales tax. I understand. So do Americans pay sales tax.
Yes.
But accounting for the income revenue that we actually see having to and here's also the problem too, right? Like you said, these have to be. That's why I give you a pretty wide range.
Yeah.
Because when you're dealing with people who are not only not on the books, but are incentivized to stay off the books, and even more, the employers are incentivized to keep them off the books as a result of policy, it's difficult to track. But you'd be hard-pressed to find someone say that it's a net benefit to the American taxpayer, illegal aliens.
Okay, that's a fair point. Yeah. And you also bring up the fact that American culture, that this we bring in all these illegal immigrants, and it sort of devalues American culture.
Yeah.
Do you think that you talked about Ronald Reagan earlier. You've heard his quote that the only thing that defines an American is a willingness to come to this country, and anybody can become an American.
Can become an American, yeah.
Yes.
That's the important part of that quote.
So you think definitionally what becomes an American is assimilation to our culture?
So yeah, I think that if I see someone who's here, who's sending money back to the country they claim to flee and they don't speak the common language, I view them as less American.
Okay, so because most of those people are supporting their parents, which is really common in a lot of other cultures.
Yep.
And you disagree with that?
Yes.
Okay.
Because again, we have to look out for the best interests of Americans. I don't know if
I'm sure that you know this to some degree, and you'll find out in the workforce, but a lot of Americans are struggling. There's over 7.5 million Americans, 7.4 depending on the year, looking for jobs. They're willing to do the jobs that are being imported at cheaper wages. They're struggling. A country needs to look out for the best interests of its citizens, as all of these other countries do.
Yes.
The immigration laws are far more harsh in Mexico, far more harsh, for example, in Japan and Korea, and even many South American countries. India had an official language being English, one of many before the United States. So yeah, that's not a benefit to the American taxpayer. Someone coming here, working a job that an American would do, to send money to another country is not something, that's not building a country, that's taking from. That's my opinion.
Well, I mean, you bring up Japan and Korea, and those are really great examples of extremely xenophobic countries that dislike people that they're not considered nationalists.
Including each other.
Yeah, I mean, exactly. Koreans hate Japan.
But I didn't just bring them up, I bring up Mexico.
Yeah, no, I mean,
I can't own waterfront property in Mexico if I go there legally.
yes.
I can't protest.
The reason I bring up those two, and you could include Mexico as well, is I think the United States is distinctively better because we have so many people not from this country working within it. We have greater ideas. We have, for example, I said that I was interested in graduate school and that I've spoken with a lot of those people. A lot of graduate students aren't from this country.
Sure.
And without question, that makes every single graduate program with non-Americans in it better for it, because they have to be so much better than us to get into these programs.
Not always.
In my experience, which is,
not always.
relative to
And there are also a lot of people who are, there are these degree mills. India is largely the epicenter of this, where there are fraudulent degrees and there are placing firms that take money off the top. And they come in, they're not any more qualified, they're not any more skilled. I have no problem with someone coming to this country legally and wanting to pursue an education and becoming an American. We have those processes that exist. But that's not all the immigrants that we're seeing right now. And an issue for me, we need to have a shared value system, we have a shared common language, and a shared specific value in contributing and building a country. So you say a lot of different points of view. Yeah, let's take, for example, like when people think immigrants, they'll often think like Ellis Island, that's sort of like Italians and the Irish, and they might have disagreed, but the truth is people coming from Italy, Ireland, Germany, Poland, take your pick, they came here, right, only a nickel in their pocket, at great risk to themselves, at no benefit. As a matter of fact, they left often the creature comforts and sort of a social safety net, in some cases of the previous country, at risk to themselves, but the promise of freedom. That's the only thing promised here that wasn't promised anywhere else. Well, the benefit was freedom. Not EBT, SNAP, not Social Security, not going into an emergency room and not paying the bill. Not that. There's a huge difference between immigrating pre-welfare state and post-welfare state. And so it needs to be the value of building and contributing to a country. And if people don't meet that criteria, they serve none of the American people's best interests.
Well, I mean, you talk about coming here for EBT or other benefits. And the just simple fact is that a lot of these things existed. You talk about welfare state, 1930s.
As a broad term, yeah.
Yeah. We still saw immigration throughout the 50s and 60s, and it really hasn't become this hot and button issue until recently. And so what necessarily changed, and just to say more specifically, that a lot of the people that come here to work jobs aren't getting from degree mills.
Some aren't. No, I know.
No, I know. But a lot
there'd
of them
be no
go
way
to
of
like
correcting it.
IIT Bombay, for example, a very good school.
Some.
That a lot of them in graduate programs at the very least that are receiving doctorates here in this country, which is a large that's a great example of an industry which heavily relies on immigrants.
Which industry?
Graduate education.
Yeah, graduate education. So graduate education at large, regardless of area of study?
I suppose I can only speak into engineering.
Okay.
Specifically industrial engineering.
Okay.
But we see a lot of immigrants.
So you don't think there are enough Americans who could do those jobs capably that we need to import them?
I don't know, but I know for a fact that if I get beat out for a spot in that education, it's not because I wasn't qualified. It's not because they were less qualified than me.
What if you get beat out in the job force just because someone will do it cheaper, like 30, 40% because they come from a third world country where that's acceptable to them?
Well, that's just capitalism for you, I suppose.
It's not, though.
You just
No, it's not.
Okay, so what?
It's not if someone is coming and they're sending their money back to a country that doesn't serve the American. It does, especially too. There'd be no way of verifying, right? That's the issue. There's no way of verifying if it's legitimate. And I think we would agree, the employers who turn a blind eye, you've created a modern class of slave labor. You can go to neighborhoods here where you'll find 16 families living in a house, taking a job that an American would do for much lower wages. A commission is taken off the top from one of these placement firms, and Americans are out of work. You can't tell me that there aren't enough Americans who will do jobs in tech in Palo Alto or engineering. I know we have brilliant minds here. You seem to be one of them. And I guess the question would become, What do you believe the criteria should be? Because now we've gone from illegal aliens, but I think this is a good conversation. What do you think the criteria should be for someone to be given that golden ticket of American citizenship or green card?
I think the idea of a golden ticket for Americans, when I say that, I mean that American citizenship is such a great ideal. It should be more accessible. And that's a large issue I feel with a lot of the idea of illegal immigration is our broken immigration system. And I don't feel that that's necessarily a hot take, you could say.
No, can you point me to any other example? Because I think we agree that it's an unbelievable, the citizenship or green card is a value, right? You're saying golden ticket. I use that, it's hyperbole, but I think you agree with it. Can you give me an example where something else that is intensely valuable, its value is maintained or increased by making it cheaper or available to all with lower standards? Where else do we do that?
What's a false equivalency? Citizenship has value because the people here make it great. And it's not a commodity that we're selling. So it doesn't have inherent value that you can trade for it.
Well, I'm saying it does, though. It has a lot of value. That's why people want to come here. So if you're the one who's holding this item, in this case, it's obviously sort of more nebulous, but a citizenship, but something of value, what should the requirements be, considering that we have so many people here who also value it and want to remain in this country?
I'd like to agree with Ronald Reagan with the fact that the only thing that makes an American is a willingness to be American. Anybody can come from any part of the world and become an American.
So what does that mean? What is it to become an American?
I suppose in my opinion, you could say that to become an American is just simply a willingness to make this country great.
Yeah.
And a lot of immigrants have that. That's why they come here.
How does someone make this country great?
They improve itself through their communities, themselves, the country at large. When we talk about making America great as a very large...
No, I'm not talking about the slogan.
I'm not referencing that. Yeah. I just mean, in general, making a very large institution better. There's really no way to quantify that unless you want to get into specifics of a GDP. I mean in terms of values and cultural systems. You can't quantify that.
Okay, well, I think you can quantify it as far as net contributions versus net deductions. But as far as culturally, I've kind of put forth my position,
yes,
right?
Sir.
That's improving the culture, shared values. It's why these people have left these countries. I believe these countries are inferior culturally. So what would your criteria, and this isn't a trick question, it's a real conversation that needs to take place.
Yeah.
What is it to be an American, and how does an immigrant coming here, how do they make it better? Because I think that should be the criteria for who we accept. Do you make this country better? And if the answer is no, then I think you should make your country better. I think if, for example, H-1Bs, I think there's quite a bit in engineering, but I know a lot in tech. I think it's probably more heavily skewed tech, but quite a few Indian engineers. If they're so great and the most brilliant and best, why does India still look like India?
When you say look like India, what do you mean?
I mean a poor country, I mean a backwards country, I mean where people can't get access to basic health care, basic necessities, I mean starving, I mean diseases that we've eradicated here that they still suffer from. I mean hundreds of thousands of people dying from snake bites. That's not a joke.
No, I understand.
No, but literally,
yes,
It's a third world country. Why aren't the best and brightest turning India into America number 2?
Well, a lot of those things, when you talk about being a backwards country, and a lot of the things they face because being so rural are more to do with cultural values and things that you place into
I agree.
high regard that they don't. And so
Sure.
even the idea of a third world country, comes from the Civil War, as I'm sure you know. And we use it these days to refer to anything that is less urbanized or less culturally, scientifically advanced, technologically advanced.
Sure.
But a lot of these countries they have really strong programs and a lot of things that aren't focused on the things we Americans find valuable.
Right.
And so,
but why not?
That's a great question. I'm not Indian. I wouldn't know. Or, any country. The point is that those people that come here and choose to make our country better rather than theirs, they might just hold values and things that we find value in rather than they.
Well, what's the benefit? Some do, a lot don't. And what would you say to the American who goes, well, these people come here, take a job, do it for a lower wage, and they send the money back home to India, the country that they left, because that's very common.
You say a lot don't, and just quickly,
a lot don't.
We can't speak necessarily what any given immigrant believes or does not believe.
Well, okay, so in Texas, I'll just give you as an example, and I've talked with quite a few of these people. As a matter of fact, I did a talking with people, which is like changed my mind, but I'm less likely to get shot, where I just kind of walk and talk, and there were some Indian immigrants who were going to college, and I said, what do you like most about America? They said opportunity and the money, and I said, oh, great, cool. Well, that's tough. What do you like most about America? I said, the ability to give money back home to my family. I said, what do you love most about America? They couldn't say anything. They could read me a laundry list. What was great about India. And there are areas in Texas, obviously, particularly areas like in the Dallas area, a lot of Indian. Let me ask you, do the areas where Indian immigrants have come here en masse, meaning they make up a majority of the neighborhood, does it look more like America as we know it, or less, more like India?
I think the idea that we need to keep America sort of stagnant over time, that it can't change culturally, is...
Not to India. That's my opinion. I think it's a bad thing.
Well, I mean, that's what makes America America, is that people
Looking like India?
No, I mean, this idea of a melting pot, and some people disagree with that, but that's not necessarily the
It's
point.
a different, though, but it's a very different melting pot. Again, people from Ireland and England coming in, they weren't from different planets. When someone doesn't come from the same type of value system or even share the same language, and they're interested in using the gold, the milk and honey from this country to send back to said country they left, that's not the same thing. We can see examples. For example, those early immigrants, they weren't sending all their money back to Italy or Ireland. Cuban Americans, these are actual asylum seekers. They won't send a dime back to Castro's Cuba, right? It's not the same thing. I think a lot of people are not coming here to contribute, but to reap the benefits, and there's no regard for the American citizen.
So you think what qualifies an immigrant to have value is how culturally similar their previous country is to America? Or, I mean, we even
I think it should be factored in how much they build this country, not take.
But that has nothing to do with how culturally similar their country
I would say that's a central tenet to American culture. When you had immigrants coming here and they were building the Empire State Building, where they're eating their lunch boxes on the scaffolding, that still gives me vertigo when I see the pictures, and paying taxes, I think that's very different from someone coming here, and certainly the illegal aliens who don't pay taxes, or the ones who don't. I'm not saying all, not all. Or someone coming here, collecting the money and sending it back to India, or sending it back to Mexico, or sending it back to Honduras, insert country here. I think it's very, very different. And you see it with Cuban Americans, you see it with USSR expats who came here who were fleeing communism.
It's difficult to inherently say that sending money home was a bad thing, when so often the federal government, because of our role in the national or the world stage, gives millions or billions of dollars to foreign countries. It's just an individual portion of that, and I don't know that you necessarily, or I can speak for myself specifically, would not give money back to my family if I were to make enough in a different country.
Well, sure, but the policy should be a 50% remittance tax. Keep your money in America. If you love America, keep your money in America.
See,
benefit the American citizen. Because again, we can't track it. We just know the net cost.
Well,
versus the net contributions. And that needs to be taken into. What about a shared language? Got to speak English? Or no?
Really? See,
you don't agree with that?
No, none of that.
Okay, so you don't have to contribute. You can send your money back home. You don't have to speak English. Tell me how any of this makes America better.
I think it would be smart if they were to learn English. It's just simple common sense. The majority language here is English. However, there's a difference between things that might be smart or common sense and things we can make legally enforceable. And that's one of those things. Same with sending money home, or even having an American value system, which you may define to be a sense of cultural norms. But regardless, there's a difference between things that you might find personally benefiting to you or the country as a whole, and things that we can make legally responsible.
For sure, you could ensure that any and all retail customer service positions, forward-facing positions, English, only English, as they do in countries with official languages.
That would be a disservice to many of the communities where most
but it would be a huge service to the United States community.
That ignores the fact that the United States community is made up of smaller communities.
No?
Yes, definitionally, yeah.
Well, you use the term melting pot, which is a term I'll use it for the nomenclature.
How can you distinguish United States culture from Oklahoma culture from Oklahoma City culture?
Yeah.
There are different sizes to it.
Sure.
And a lot of the smaller parts of this country don't speak English as their native language, simply because a lot of them are immigrants, second-generation immigrants, third-generation immigrants.
Yeah.
And so why would
you just define the difference between national borders and state borders?
Yes, sir.
Right? And a national border is a language. A national border is net contributions. A national border is you keep your resources here. If you want to be a part of this nation, you place this nation before all others. That is a huge component of being American. I don't give a rat's ass what Ronald Reagan says in the way it's misinterpreted. He's saying if you want to become an American, what does that mean? Let's look to the founding documents. You have no allegiance to any other nation before the United States. That means you don't You don't send your money elsewhere. You don't have a sworn allegiance or an affinity for another nation above the United States. And we need to have a shared common culture.
Well, that's allusion to the founding documents. I mean,
so you think that America is stronger? Because I don't want to get too far. If people don't speak the same language, if people coming here don't learn English, send their money back to another country, you think that makes America great? Because let's just agree.
Yeah. Look, I don't think that inherently makes America better or worse. I think their contributions to the country can make this country better or worse. However, their cultural norms and values have no difference.
But what contributions?
Technological is a great example. I mean, I can speak from experience, but also just generally cultural. So much of American cuisine is made up of foreign cuisine.
Nah, you're not going to get me on tandoori chicken that's the reason we need a bunch of third world immigrants who don't speak the language.
I'm not trying to, just in the sense that there's so much of American culture that borrows from other cultures, and we change it and we make it American, but we can't do that if we don't have immigrants. And I understand that's not what you're saying.
Sure you can. You can do it if you have a selective group of immigrants who improve America, who are a net benefit to America. We have 350 million people in this country, and we are facing an insurmountable debt. We have far too many people. And by the way, not just immigrants, to be clear. I also think we should cut SNAP in these welfare states for Americans who are abusing the system. But the difference is we have the ability to set criteria for people coming into this country. And I think it needs to start with what serves the interest of the American people. And I think the left, the reason they're losing and the reason that Gen Z men are veering away from them is because they're not able to define what it is to be American.
Well, I mean, let's be clear that you're not arguing the left at large in this situation.
No, I'm telling you, but I'm saying I am willing to stake my claim on this is important. And I think it's important to a lot of Americans. And we used to just talk about, hey, cool, let's make it easier to immigrate here. I don't think so. I think it's very valuable. I think we should only take the best and the brightest. And I think we should have criteria that establishes this is what's expected of you. Good example, because I know you're a very smart guy. You've heard the term evangelize?
Of course.
So and it pisses me off because a lot of Christians go like, I'm evangelizing. Have you heard the good news? Jesus loves you. It's like, well, evangelize, I believe, comes from the word evangelion. And so what this meant is, let's say there's a new Caesar. And they would actually send out people to evangelize. And what that included was, hey, here's the good news. Your new Caesar is benevolent. He's going to provide A, B, C, X, Y, Z.
Yeah.
Here's the flip side. Here are the expectations. Right? Here's what you are expected to contribute. That's what evangelizing was, letting people know, hey, this is the new program and these are the benefits.
Well, words evolve over time, and we shouldn't necessarily...
Well, I'm just using that as an example. That's how all nations... Oh,
take a walk real quick.
Okay, all right. Sorry, it means that there's something...
Go for it.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it.
It's nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you, sir. All right.
Very nice.
Okay. I assume that means something sketchy?